Hello everyone, my name's Nicole. Let's just get this turned around here. Hi, my name's Nicole Can and I am here for the very first Interp Training Tuesday. I'm really excited about this project. I hope that a lot of my fellow interpreters will be able to tune in live. If not, I know that we're going to be putting this link up on YouTube after we're done, and hopefully it'll become a great, oh thank you so much, I'm really glad to hear that. Hopefully this is going to become a really great free professional development tool for people in the interpretation field and really in the communication field. Regardless of what you do, any interpretive skills I have certainly found in my career are valuable for people in lots of other careers. I frequently find myself thinking that really just any organization should have at least one interpreter because we really help with communicating clearly. And that's where we're going to be starting our training today. So I'm just going to give people a couple of more seconds to log in. For those of you who are already here, if you can share maybe where you're from, if you're from an interpretive site specifically, if you wanted to share that, that'd be great. I am projecting from the Vancouver Aquarium today, which is where I work as the manager of interpretive delivery. So let's see who else we've got here. Where is everybody joining us from? It's always hard. It's hard to get that up there. All right, I'll give it a couple more seconds, see how it goes. And then what I'm going to be covering today is the first in what could really be a very long series on tips for talking. This is strictly verbal communication tips that I'm giving. The field of interpretive techniques and training is very wide, vast, and varied. But specifically what I wanted to talk about, hey Colin, nice to see you. So specifically what I wanted to talk about today was diction, that's backwards, I'm now just realizing that, oh well, and projection. When we are talking about verbal communication and talking, obviously there are a lot of components that go into it. There is tone, there's projection, there's emotion, there's passion, there's diction, there's enthusiasm, there's pauses, and speed and modalities and all sorts of things go into actually being an effective speaker. But specifically today, because I want these Training Tuesdays to be short and sweet, I wanted to focus just on diction and projection, and hopefully if there's interest we can cover a lot of the other parts of verbal communication as we go. Now the voice, as we know, this is a muscle like any other muscle. It does need to be exercised. And I think that's something that a lot of us forget, even professional interpreters who've been doing this for a really long time. We talk all day long, but that's not great exercise. That's like running a marathon every day. And if you aren't keeping that muscle strong, you are eventually going to strain it. And that's classically what happens anytime that I hire a new interpreter. I always tell them on about day 2 or 3, you're not going to be able to talk anymore because you're just not used to talking to the same extent in the same ways that you do when you start a career in interpretation. So hopefully the techniques that I'm going to go over today for projection and for diction will be exercises. They're very short exercises, and I'm going to give you a lot of them that you can put into your own vocal workouts that I really am going to encourage you all to try out. Try every day. I do a tongue twister a day. We're going to be sharing some of those later today. It's a great way to wake up your voice. That's how I start each and every one of my days. I'm usually doing them on the bus on my way to work, which is interesting for the people who are on the bus with me. But definitely I encourage you to put together a vocal workout, and hopefully some of these exercises will help. So let's talk a little bit about why projection and diction. Obviously, one of the key components of personal interpretation is talking. And at its base, in order for us to get our messages across, and there's much more impressive ways of doing this, but at its base, in order for us to be successful as interpreters, we need to be heard, and that's where a lot of projection comes into play, and we also need to be understood. And again, at its base level, that means we need to be clear when we speak. Hello to those of you who are just joining us. So let's talk about projection first. We need to be heard. Classic misconception when it comes to projection is just talk louder, right? Now I know that for those of us who've been in the field for a while, or really who've had any sort of training in public speaking, we know that just speaking louder is not good projection. You're not going to be able to sustain that for a very long period of time. It's going to put strain on your vocal cords. It's also not going to feel really great for the people you're talking to, whether you're in Vancouver or in Italy. Hello to you who's joined us from really far away. So when you're thinking about projection, most importantly, think about the fact that you are actually focusing your sound, not increasing the volume of your sound. Projection, when you think about the less polite terms of that, like projectile vomiting, for example, it's called projection because it's going somewhere. So that's what I really want you to think. Not really think about projectile vomiting, but I want you to think about projecting your voice to a specific place. Pick a member of your audience, pick an object if you're practicing at home, and talk to that object. Think about the actual air in your body that carries your voice, making its way through the air in front of you towards whatever that object or person is that you're speaking to. So to practice this, first and foremost, you're not going to get that air anywhere if your posture isn't in place. Good posture is the key to a strong and healthy projection. I am not going to be able to model this particularly well for you right now because I'm sitting down, and it's actually really hard to get good projection posture when you're sitting down. Hopefully it's not too bad on this video. I know there's also some echoing in this room, but we're making do with what we have. However, yes, absolutely, posture is the key, and to focus your posture, especially when you are projecting in an interpretive program, likely you're going to be standing. It's usually good etiquette. You're going to stand straight. You want your head to be over top of your shoulders to be over top of your hips, and your hips to be over top of your legs. So if you have the ability while watching this video right now to stand up, I want you to actually practice that and feel that balance. A lot of times we fold our shoulders in, especially when we're sitting. I'm really, really bad at this. I let my ribs collapse in on themselves when I'm sitting down. If I was doing a presentation, I would want to open all of that up. I would want to make sure that my balance is really found in my core, and that I'm pulling everything together and then releasing, relaxing, and I've got great balance. I'm equally weighted on both feet. My hips, like I said, in a line over top of my feet and my ankles, and then over top of my hips, my shoulders are right over top, and my head is actually sitting over top of my shoulders. Now you might actually feel like you need to pull your shoulders back a little bit to get this position right. That's normal because, like I said, we all collapse our spines for most of the day. So practice that posture. If it feels awkward to you, it means you need to practice it more often, and that will help you with your projection. Check yourself in the mirror. Actually, one of the things I'm going to give you as a tip throughout almost every exercise we go through today, videotape yourself. I know that sucks. The first time that I had to watch a video of myself delivering an interpretive program, I cringed the entire time. I'm still not incredibly comfortable with it, and yet here I am talking live on video to all of you. So take pictures of yourself, ask your coworkers or your friends and family to take videos of you while you're practicing those techniques. It is going to help you ultimately. So if you think you've got that perfect posture going, I want you to tap the screen a couple of times and let's see if there's some hearts there so people can let me know if they are doing their perfect posture. All right, that's good to see. Thank you for that. All right, so moving on from there, you've got your posture. Now you need to breathe because you need air to actually project anything. Breathing, next key component of our projection. You want to make sure that air isn't getting stuck up here in your lungs and your chest. It needs to make its way down to your diaphragm. So a couple of things you can do for this. First of all, find your diaphragm if you don't know how to do that. I was a trained singer when I was younger. I was in a lot of choirs, did a lot of musical theater. We constantly had to find our diaphragms and make sure we were singing from it at the beginning of rehearsal and at the end. It's healthy for your voice, it's healthy for that muscle. So if you don't know how to find your diaphragm, take your fingers together like this, place them just underneath your ribs, and then take a deep breath in. You should feel, oh, thank you for joining us. Sorry you have to check out, but if you want to, you should feel your fingers actually pull apart from each other when you're getting a deep breath in. That's how you know that you've found your diaphragm. If you have found your diaphragm, give that screen a tap. Let's see if everybody's found it. I'll be able to see some hearts there. Deep breath. Great. Now another way that you can actually practice belly breathing, which is what's really going to help you with your projection, take one hand, put it on your back, another hand, put it on your stomach, and breathe in deep again. Feels very strange to do in a room all by myself. But what you should feel there is that your hands are pulling apart from each other. You want the hand on your stomach to be going forward and also the hand on your back to be going back, because you want to make sure you are filling up your diaphragm. From there, you're going to project. Now, the projection itself, you can practice in a lot of ways. Hopefully, you'll be able to feel that belly breathing as you go. One of the ways that I like to do is just feel like I'm expelling that whole breath that I've taken in. So I'll breathe in. Ha! Now, that's pretty loud. Obviously, I'm not going to speak like that to people, but it gives you a sense of what it should feel like in your diaphragm when you're projecting in a healthy, safe way. And then focus that projection. Again, think of the word. It is going somewhere. Pick an object. Maybe pick an object close to you to start with and talk to that, and then keep moving further and further away. But if you have a recording on at the same time, we've all got our smartphones, right? We all know that we can record things on there. Record yourself and see if your volume changes as you are trying to project to other objects, because ideally it's not really going to. You're just going to be focusing your sound further away. All right, that's what I really want to focus on with regards to projection today. I wanted to keep this short and sweet, so I'm going to move right on to diction and we'll be done. Now, diction is how we can make sure that our words that we're choosing for our interpretive programs are actually clearly understood. The best tried and true technique I have for practicing diction is tongue twisters. But there's a few things to keep in mind. Obviously, we all know tongue twisters. We practiced them when we were young. They are funny. They take your mouth through all kinds of different shapes, and you slip up and you make mistakes and you laugh at yourself, and it's great. But they're very, very good for exercising all of the really small muscles that you have in your mouth that probably don't get worked very often. So that's why I always start my day with a tongue twister. If you are new to tongue twisters and you're particularly concerned about your diction, then here's a couple of steps to start from the very, very beginning of this exercise. Start slowly. Make sure that you are clearly enunciating the beginning of each word and the end of each word. Those are the most important. Once you feel like you've got that under your belt, focus on each individual syllable and that you're clearly pronouncing both the beginning and end of each syllable. That's really where tongue twisters come into play. Is you want to make sure that each individual sound can be clearly understood. Pausing and breath will be very important here as well. Now, particularly for tongue twisters, I am going to encourage you to record yourself because they frequently are less easy to understand for someone listening to you than for you who knows what it is that you're supposed to be saying. So if you record your voice when you were practicing a tongue twister and then play it back, and you thought that you were clearly dictating or enunciating, I guess, every word you were saying, but you listen to the recording and it's not quite clear, that means there's more work for you to do. There. Start slow. Say the tongue twister a couple of times really slowly, and then work to get faster and faster and faster. Obviously, you don't want your interpretive presentations to be super speedy so that no one could hear you at all, but sometimes for the sake of whatever point you're trying to get across, you want to vary up your speeds. So you want to make sure that your diction is clear no matter how quickly you're talking. Some of you might have noticed I happen to be a fast talker, so making sure that my diction is always clear is really important to me, and hopefully you've been able to experience that so far in this video. So what I wanted to do to end today is share with you some of my favorite tongue twisters that I practice for my own diction, and then see if any of you have any that you'd like to share. I happen to be a huge fan of 1 or 2 word tongue twisters, usually two words, I guess, tongue twisters, because I actually find them, first of all, easier to remember, and second of all, harder sometimes than full-blown sentences or passages that you're going to try and read. So a couple of my very favorite tongue twisters, and this is going to show you how hard they can be. Number 1, conservation conversation. I happen to work for a conservation organization, and we have a lot of conversations, so I frequently just mess those words up in general. So I always have to take a second to really think conservation conversation. I want all of you who are here live to actually try saying that 3 times. And if you can do it without switching up the syllables, I want you to tap that screen. Conservation conversation. Conservation conversation. Did anyone find that hard? You can type into the bottom. That's definitely a really tough one for me. All right, so a couple people, not hard for them. That's fantastic. Let me try you with another one. This one, ultimately, probably one of the hardest ones that I have. It's one that I go to almost every other day. It is called Irish wristwatch. Seriously, if you think just saying that inside your own head that it's going to be really easy, I want all of you to actually try saying it out loud now. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. And if you can do that 3 times, then tap that screen as many times as you want, because seriously, bravo to you. Did anyone find that one hard? No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, yeah, a couple of people. That's usually the hardest one for me. There's obviously a lot of other short 2 to 3 word tongue twisters that you can find. Unique New York is another really good one that lots of people do. Literally literary is one I only actually just found today in preparing for this broadcast. Literary, oh, see, I messed it up already. Literally literary, so that's a good one. And if you want to challenge yourself more, or if it's more challenging for you to practice longer passages of tongue twisters, then I have 2 suggestions to you. These are what I give to my new staff and even sometimes volunteers who are going to be doing work on microphone, because you especially need to make sure you are clear and your diction is good when you have another thing helping you with your projection. So microphones are really big for that. The first is, have you seen the Pirates of Penzance? Let's see, is anyone a fan of the Pirates of Penzance? Gilbert and Sullivan? No, oh, all right, we got to do a musical one of these at some point in time. Okay, a couple of people. So you probably know where I'm going with this, but there's a song, and you don't have to sing it, in the Pirates of Penzance called "I Am the Very Model of a Modern Major General." Now that's the only line I ever remember off the top of my head, but I actually have the lyrics to that song printed out, and it goes crazy with words. Also, if you can find a video of a professional opera singer actually singing that song, it's really impressive. But for a training tool, try just once to make it through all of the lyrics in that song. Guarantee you it will wake up your mouth. And then the other tool that I use when I want people to speak for a longer period of time and work on their diction is a poem from the book Through the Looking Glass, Alice in Wonderland. It's called the Jabberwocky. Is anyone familiar with that? You can tap the screen if you are. Let's see. Anyone familiar with the Jabberwocky and the Vorpal sword in hand? Yeah, a couple of people. All right. It's a great poem full of gibberish words that really, really help me and certainly all of the people that I've shown it to with their diction. I actually have a couple of friends who use it in theater productions to help warm up their voices. So there we have it, folks. That is our very first Interp Training Tuesday, short and sweet, looking at projection and diction. Hopefully this was valuable to you. I really, really am excited about the opportunity to provide free professional development trainings for interpreters and communicators in a format that people can engage with live, and then I will be hosting these on the Interp Training Tuesday YouTube page afterwards. I'm going to try and feature a lot of different trainers. If you are interested in leading one of these, it's not scary. Hopefully you can really talk about anything that you think would be valuable to interpreters. Please get in touch with me. You can send me a message on Facebook. You can find me at Nicole Cann, C-A-N-N, which is what my Periscope name is, or you can send me a message on Twitter as well. Tweet to me and let me know if you're interested. Thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your Tuesday.